Welcome to this explainer. I'm really glad you're here. Today, we're doing a bit of a virtual medical consult. We're going to completely demystify the internal mechanisms of hormonal birth control. We all know the pill exists, but how often do we actually stop and appreciate the brilliant, invisible work it does inside the body every single day? Okay, let's dive right into this. To understand how the pill, or really any combined hormonal contraceptive, works on the inside, I want you to picture the body's reproductive system as a highly advanced home security setup. Think of it like a multi-layered defense network with one clear goal: absolutely secure the premises. Today, we're cracking the master codes to see exactly why this biological system is just so incredibly effective. Here's our quick roadmap for today's consult. We'll start with the birth control consult, then look at the primary defense, which is preventing ovulation, followed by the brain-ovary connection. After that, we'll cover secondary barriers for extra protection and wrap up with the multifaceted defense system. All right, part one, the birth control consult. Before we go examining the locks on the doors, let's look at the ultimate goal of this entire security protocol. When someone comes in asking about the pill, they really just want one thing: peace of mind. The objective is to build a rock-solid perimeter, and that brings us to this number: greater than 99%. When you use combined hormonal contraceptives correctly every single day, they are literally more than 99% effective at preventing pregnancy. That's huge. It's basically the biological equivalent of having a top-tier security system that flawlessly protects your house, as long as you remember to actually arm it. Moving on to part two, primary defense, preventing ovulation. Sticking with our home security metaphor, this primary defense is your absolute best line of protection. This isn't just locking the front door, it's like neutralizing an intruder before they're even in the neighborhood. The whole strategy is beautifully simple. No egg equals no fertilization. By primarily stopping ovulation, the medication makes sure no egg is ever released, period. It completely eliminates the core requirement for a pregnancy. There is literally nothing there for the sperm to interact with. The premises are totally cleared. Section 3. The brain-ovary connection. So, how does the body actually pull off this disappearing act with the egg? Well, we have to trace the wiring back up to the body's internal control room, the brain. Deep in the brain, there's a master switch. It's a chemical signal called GnRH, or gonadotropin-releasing hormone. Normally, this hormone pulses from the hypothalamus, setting off alarms and starting the whole reproductive cycle. But here's the genius part. Hormonal contraceptives contain estrogen and progestin. When they reach that control room, they create what we call negative feedback. In plain English, they essentially tell the brain, hey, we're all good down here, no need to send the signal. They just mute that crucial GnRH master switch entirely. And this brilliantly illustrates the biological domino effect that happens next. Step 1, suppress that GnRH signal from the hypothalamus. Because that master switch is turned off, we immediately hit step 2. A rapid drop in secondary dispatcher signals from the pituitary gland, specifically FSH and LH. Without those dispatcher signals telling the body what to do, we safely arrive at step 3. Ovulation is totally halted. Just a perfectly logical, seamless chain reaction. Let's break down exactly what losing those two specific hormones achieves. First up, FSH suppression. By removing the follicle-stimulating hormone, the body prevents initial follicular development, meaning the egg never even matures. But what if one magically managed to start growing? Well, that's where the second failsafe kicks in, LH suppression. Stopping the luteinizing hormone surge means the egg is never actually released. So the system stops the egg from growing and locks it down so it can't deploy. Total security. All right, part 4, secondary barriers, extra protection. Now, the body doesn't just rely on stopping ovulation. Any good security expert knows a single point of failure is bad news. So, the synthetic hormones, specifically the progestin, deploy biological backup systems to make absolutely sure everything is locked down tight. First, we get thickened cervical mucus. Think of this as heavily deadbolting all the exterior doors. It makes it incredibly difficult for sperm to even get through the cervix. Second, we have a thinner endometrium or uterine lining. This is basically rolling up and throwing away the welcome mat. It makes the uterus way less receptive to implantation, drastically dropping the odds of a pregnancy even if an egg somehow got fertilized. And finally, altered fallopian tube motility. This turns the internal pathways into a slow-motion maze, potentially delaying the transport of sperm and eggs. It is redundant security at its finest. Which brings us to Section 5, a multifaceted defense system. We've seen the control room shut down.
the dead-bolted doors, and the removed welcome mats. But what happens if there's a breach? Like any alarm, user error or outside interference can compromise the system. Missed doses are your biggest vulnerability here. Forgetting the pill weakens both the primary suppression and those secondary barriers. But if the system is breached, say a missed pill or unprotected sex, there is an emergency failsafe. Emergency contraception, often called the morning after pill, like Plan B. Plan B uses a high dose of a synthetic progestin called levonorgestrel to urgently delay or inhibit ovulation before fertilization can happen, and it thickens that cervical mucus too. It is most effective when taken as soon as possible, ideally within 24 hours where it's about 95% effective, though you have up to a 72-hour window where it's around 88% effective. Here's the catch though. If ovulation has already happened, Plan B is way less effective. Also, for individuals with a BMI over 26, it's actually recommended to use alternative emergency options, things like Ella, which has a 5-day window and is more effective after that 72-hour mark, or the copper IUD, which is the most effective emergency option overall at over 99%. Oh, and besides missed pills, watch out for medication interactions that can scramble your hormonal wiring or individual metabolic variations. This whole ecosystem is exactly why correct, consistent usage of your daily contraceptive is so vital. Give the system its daily code, and it rewards you with that 99% success rate.
To sum up everything we've talked about today, I want to read this direct quote. This multifaceted approach makes hormonal contraception one of the most effective forms of birth control. It really is just a marvel of medical science. Between turning off the master switch in the brain, locking the cervical doors, and ditching the uterine welcome mat, you've got a layered biological defense system that is remarkably efficient and genuinely reassuring. I'll leave you with this final kind of mind-blowing question. If our internal hormonal networks are this powerfully responsive to tiny, microscopic daily adjustments, literally just a few milligrams of medication effectively pausing an entire reproductive system, what else might the body's control room be capable of regulating? The human endocrine system is an absolute powerhouse, and we are really just scratching the surface of understanding it. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Keep asking questions, keep learning, and I will catch you in the next explainer.